South Africa accused Israel this Thursday before the International Court of Justice of committing genocide in Gaza and of not punishing its inciters. Today, Israel will respond to the allegations that implicated the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In almost 100 days of the genocidal operation in Gaza, Israel has killed more than 100 children every day. The number of minors killed by the occupiers' fire exceeds 10,000. China's foreign ministry stated that the Asian giant is concerned about the escalation of tensions in the Red Sea following the Western attack on Yemen. Welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Israel sought Friday before the International Court of Justice to counter charges of genocide against the Palestinian people filed Thursday by South Africa. The response from Israel's lawyers comes after South Africa, in its submission, asked the ICJ to issue an order compelling Tel Aviv to halt its bombardment of the Gaza Strip. South Africa's legal team argued Thursday during the first 2 days of hearings that Israel's conduct contravenes the Genocide Convention, which defines genocide as any act committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. The Pretoria lawyers explained that the argument of self-defense for the October 7th attack by Hamas used by the State of Israel to justify its bombardments of Gaza has no basis under international law. Since the beginning of Israel's military operations against the Strip, more than 20,000 Palestinians have died, mostly civilians, including women and minors, as well as members of international organizations. Israel appealed to the International Court of Justice on Friday to refute allegations of genocide against the Palestinian people. The response by Israel's lawyers comes after South Africa, in its brief, asked the ICJ to issue an order compelling Tel Aviv to stop its bombing of the Gaza Strip. The South African legal team argued on Thursday during the first 2 days of hearing that Israel's conduct violates the Genocide Convention, which defines genocide as any act committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. Lawyers in Pretoria said that the argument of self-defense in the October 7th Hamas attack used by the State of Israel to justify its bombardment of Gaza has no basis in international law. More than 20,000 Palestinians have been killed since the beginning of Israel's military operations against the Strip, mostly civilians, including women and children, as well as members of international organizations. South Africa's Justice Minister said Israel had failed to defend their side at a session of the International Court of Justice, where they stand accused of committing genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza. Speaking to reporters outside the court in The Hague, Ronald Lamola said South Africa remained confident they had presented a compelling case against Israel at the ICJ. To learn more about this important issue, we welcome Fouad Abba Saif, the UAWC Director in West Bank. Hello, Fouad, can you hear me? Welcome to From the South.
Hello, yeah, I hear you very well. Thank you for welcoming me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the first genocide in history where its victims are broadcasting their own destruction in real time, hoping for the world to do something. So the first question would be, how important is for the Palestinian cause South Africa's lawsuit against Israel?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's very, very important for the Palestinians among this kind of like ongoing Israeli genocide against the Palestinians. And as you said, it's like until now around 24,000 Palestinians were killed, and it's ongoing. For the Palestinian, this what South Africa is like did, I think it gives the Palestinians a very strong signals that their struggle is supported by many around the world, and we are not left alone. For more than 3 months, the Palestinians felt that they are alone without any support, facing and confronting Israel, where Israel is having all this power and supported by USA. And we know this. It's like no equally in the this kind of war. They bombing the Palestinians civilians. Symbolic the what South Africa is like. The legal suit against Israel is a signals and a strong message to support the Palestinian struggle, and also it's like confronting the Israeli policy, which is ongoing for more than 75 years without anyone can holding Israel accountable. This is the time to Israel paying the price internationally, collectively, when all the countries like South Africa and other freedom movement who love and defend the Palestinian rights, that become unity and support this legal suit. So it's very important for the Palestinians. It gives like them a push in their struggle and put the Palestinian cause again as a priority for all the international agenda. And we believe that even we did not expect a lot from this, because we know the international law, how it's like controlled by the US, but it's symbolic that the Palestinian having their right to defend themselves and continue their struggle against this genocide.
South Africa has received a widespread support of the international community during these 2 days of hearing. What can we expect from this moment on? Is there any foreseeable hope for the Palestinian people?
Yes, there is the international support South Africa has received during its legal action against Israel is indicative of significant moment in the international relation of diplomacy. This situation could have several implications moving forward, both for the Palestinian cause and international law. However, specific outcomes in such complex and geopolitical situation is challenging. It's not uneasy, but having all this kind of support for South Africa step is something appreciated, and encouraging others to stop their silence and being like more louder in their voice, to stand with the Palestinians and all the impression peoples who's suffering from such situation. Now we're talking about the Palestinians going through this genocide, and with the increasing of this kind of support for South Africa and for the Palestinian, I think we are bringing closer the end of this genocide. So this is not just something we just watch on the TV, but it's also a practical. South Africa took a practical step on the ground, which we always, as a Palestinian, call everyone around the world to move in order to stop and put an effort to stop this genocide. Without this joint efforts that started by South Africa, I think this genocide will continue. Israel will continue doing whatever they did since 75 years, and they know that they put themselves above the international law, and they always escaped from having accountable for their crimes against the humanity and against the Palestinians. So with this kind of support from all around the world, I think we can stop this.
Yes, as you commented, what is the importance of these massive movements of solidarity by common citizens and social organizations taking place worldwide, even in places such as the US, whose government is the principal supporter of Israel's genocide?
Yeah, the massive movement of solidarity by common citizen and social organization worldwide, including in countries like the US, which has historically been a principal supporter of Israel, play a crucial role in several dimensions, of course, political dimensions, social dimensions. It's like now we start feeling that even the public opinion in everywhere, especially in US, is changing to our side, to the like supporting the people who's under this oppression from the Israeli since like 75, especially the youth, which has never been like that. So it's the massive movement is changing and changing in the way that for the supporting the rights of the oppression people in everywhere. So something is changing. This legal suit from the South Africa is putting the train on its real like way, and the movement we are showing in the street of all around the world, in Europe, in US, in Latin America, and everywhere is another like adding another pressure in its governments, because some of the governments already like supporting Israel. It's not just the US. The Western government is supporting. They can put an end to this. But with this kind of massive movement around the world and everyone in the street, I think we are putting a pressure on their governments that they have to be like fit and adapt with their own values at the beginning, the human rights values that they teach others and being stick to these values where they are not stick to this to any of these values. So now we are something is changing. This movement on the streets is like changing and putting a pressure. And Israel is very, the government of Israel is very scared from this kind of a change, especially in the new generation. In US mainly because it's very, very crucial that the people in US were changing a bit in their like positions, and they start seeing that there is some influence on the US administration that no more support to Israel. This will not continue like that. We are not ready to. We are seeing what Israel is doing and committing against the civilians and against the Palestinians who's suffering from occupation since more than 75 years. And the time to stop all that is coming, and we have to stick to our own values, which is values of justice, values of freedom, values of support the oppression people to finish this occupation. This occupation, and the message of everyone on the street, going on the street right now, is we have to stop this oppression, and we have to stop this occupation for the end.
Thank you so much, Fuad, for your time and your statements here in from the South.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
We were talking to Fuad Abu Saif, UAWC Director in West Bank, in the context of the second day of the hearing of South Africa's accusations against Israel of committing genocide in Gaza. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. On Friday in Venezuela, during a social media appearances, President Nicolás Maduro paid homage to the late commander Hugo Chávez Frías.
Educated us. I would say more. He re-educated us. He re-educated many of us. He taught us discipline, compliance.
The Venezuelan president also emphasized the responsibility of the Venezuelan opposition in the damage to the country's economy.
More than 900 sanctions against the economy. The damage they did to it, all of them. The people of the ultra-right, all the damage they did to the economy, all the damage they did to the labor and social rights.
In his podcast, the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, mentioned the intentions of a Venezuelan opponent to attempt against the life of the fugitive from justice, Leopoldo López, in 2014, when they aimed of destabilizing the country.
The criminal Leopoldo López was a fugitive from the justice because, well, he had been the one who led the destruction of the Attorney General's office and the first murders in Venezuela. And unreliable information arrived with evidence, with a recording of an opposition figure saying that he knew where Leopoldo López was hiding, and that he had to be killed to achieve the spark that would ignite the middle. I hear the recording is the voice of Antonio Ledesma, criminal, and I call Diosdado and tell him, look, Diosdado, this is happening. That was around 10 o'clock at night. I tell him the only way is for you to go and talk to the family of Leopoldo Lopez. Show them the proof, talk to them, and have Leopoldo Lopez surrendered to justice. It is the only way to save his life.
In Ecuador, in the midst of the serious crisis of insecurity and violence that the country is experiencing, the Ministry of Interior announced that it would request criminal record certificates to foreigners entering from Peru and Colombia. The document to be issued in the country of origin of residence must be apostilled. Initially, it has been said that the provision will be enforced during the state of exception and the recognition of the internal armed conflict decreed by the President Daniel Noboa on January 8th with a duration of 60 days. The measure, according to the office responsible for domestic policy, is oriented to the control of the entry of the people who constitute a threat or risk to the public safety. At the same time, President Noboa insists on expelling foreign prisoners, among them close to 1,500 Colombians imprisoned in Ecuador's penitentiaries, an announcement that has caused controversy on the other side of the border. Ecuador will receive high-ranking military officials from Washington as alleged support, amid tensions in the face of an escalation of violence that is plaguing the South American country. The U.S. Department of State announced that it will send the head of the Southern Command, General Laura Richardson, and top anti-narcotics and diplomatic officials to Quito to discuss with the government of President Daniel Noboa how to combat organized crime. The White House condemned the attacks described as terrorist attacks by criminal gangs after the leader of the most powerful criminal gang escaped in confusing incident. The help that Washington could offer to Carondelet is related to the fight against drug trafficking and organized crime. In Argentina, the labor judge Silvia Garcini processed 2 new injunctions against the labor reform proposed by the President Javier Milei. The decree of necessity and urgency promoted by the President for Economic Deregulation deals with the claims of the Center of Overseas Captains and Merchant Officers, Merchant Navy Officers, and Aeronautical Personnel Association. This resolution is in addition to the other 4 presentations against the initiatives endorsed by the courts that do not support the ideas promoted by the new head of state. The magistrate ordered to grant the precautionary measure, consequently to suspend preventively the applicability of the provisions of Title IV. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news, coverage of Latin American and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. China demanded the U.S. not to interfere in Saturday's election on Taiwan and not to send false signals to pro-independence forces. In a statement, Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning reiterated the firm opposition to any form of official exchange between Washington and Taipei. Earlier, Beijing recalled that Taiwan is an inalienable part of China. The spokeswoman expressed that if the United States really wanted to maintain peace and stability in the Strait of Taiwan, it should support peaceful reunification. Also, she recalled the One China principle, consensuate and accepted by the international community, while separatism is a path destined to failure. Supposedly, Washington plans to send a delegation to the island after the elections. China's foreign ministry said on Friday that the Asian giant is concerned about the escalation of tension in the Red Sea following the Western attack on Yemen. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Mao Ning said that the Red Sea area is an important international trade route for goods and energy, so this conflict affects the whole of humanity. In this regard, China expects consistency and in all parties involved to play a constructive and responsible role in maintaining security in the region. China suggests all parties to jointly maintain the security of international waterways and avoid harassing civilian vessels, as this is detrimental to global trade and economy. For its part, the government of Russia, through its permanent representative at the United Nations, requested an urgent meeting of the Security Council to address the subject of the joint attack by the United States and the United Kingdom on Yemen. The Russian government pointed the finger directly at the United States and the United Kingdom and urged them to explain what happened in the Arab country through the Security Council. In the offensive against Yemen also participated Australia, Bahrain, Canada and the Netherlands. Let us recall that Washington and London forces attacked on Thursday the Yemeni cities of Sana'a, capital, Al-Hudaydah and Taiz, where strong violent explosions were registered. Recently, the United Nations Security Council approved a resolution for the Houthis to stop their actions in the Red Sea. The Houthis said they will not accept this decision until the genocide in Gaza has stopped. Saudi Arabia called for a restraint and prioritizing stability in the region after U.S. and United Kingdom bombing of Yemen. The Foreign Ministry of the United States, main ally in the Middle East, has called on Western authorities to avoid an escalation of violence in the region. The communique calls for maintaining security and stability in the Red Sea and recalls freedom of navigation in condemnation of the Houthi actions against merchant ships. Following Western aggression, Yemeni troops declared open war on the United States and the United Kingdom. In this regard, Iran joined the rejection of the actions of the West as it considers it an infringement of sovereignty and territorial integrity. Through the spokesman of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Nasser Kanani, the Islamic country condemned the attacks against the Houthi positions in the Yemen and West, and affirmed that these actions seek to divert attention from the conflict in Gaza and to support of the United States and the United Kingdom to the Zionist regime of Israel. The speaker also said that these attacks seek instability in the Middle East and the expansion of conflict in that region. A Yemenian spokesman, for his part, asserted that the United States and the United Kingdom are responsible for the aggression against their people and that will not go unpunished. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net, and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.